me, Brianka J, your host, and I'm coming today, surprisingly. I finished part one of the work, which is Richard Wright's Native Son. So I want to talk a little bit about that particular section, which Richard Wright labeled fear. But before we get into that, I must shamelessly promote myself and all the things that I do. If it's your first time here, I want to welcome you to this online community where we show nothing but love and give you a warm virtual hug. I also would like to invite you to check out the description box below, chock full of so much valuable content, including how to find me on different social media channels like Twitter and Instagram, how to purchase and connect with me through my work, such as my 2 children's books or my ebook, which is all about profiting on your online ventures. 7 Steps to Doubling Your Online Sales. That is ebook, easy to download, totally recommended if you have a small business. And if you are thinking about starting a small business, I also have a web design agency that is really around just simply for that reason, to help small businesses create a global impact using the internet. So if any of those things are of interest to you, then please reach out to me. We'd love to help you out. We'd love to be a part of your life in that way. But if you're just here to talk about books with me, then that's great. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so this channel can continue to run and hopefully turn a profit, because no one likes to work for free, yeah. Hope y'all like my song. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk about book 1 of Native Son. Okay, so let's discuss book 1 of this work. Guys, so I actually finished it this morning, like crack of dawn this morning, I finished it. And if you're not aware, book 1 is the introduction of Bigger Thomas and his shortcomings as a character, so we get to know him as a character. And then we also see how he transitions into a job. He gets a job with a wealthy white family, the Daltons, and we are introduced to Mrs. Dalton, Mr. Dalton, Mary Dalton, Jan, Mary Dalton's boyfriend, and Peggy, their Irish housekeeper. What we learn about Bigger right off the bat is that he lacks education. He suffers emotional intelligence. He suffers in communication. He is filled with hate, filled with jealousy, and he's filled with fear as he goes about life. And so in book 1, a lot of things come up. And before you even try to see what my perceptions of Bigger is, there is a different video where I get into the details of that. But I want to talk about book 1 and its objectives of like what is going on. So they start off with the killing of the rat, and you have Bigger there. He actually like kills the rat. You have the mom screaming, the sister jumping on the bed, the brother is in shock and not moving, and Bigger is the only one that takes action. And everybody looks to Bigger to take action. And I think this is very unfortunate for Bigger as an individual, because he's 20, and he is holding the weight of his entire family. And he is very young and very naive, and he's not really prepared for this step in his life yet. So his life is already hard, and we see that just from that very first scene in the work. His mom, Mrs. Thomas, is so mean to him. At one point, she calls him the most no-countess man I have ever seen in all my life. And she's upset with Bigger because he hasn't taken on a job that can support the family. Instead, he is like hanging out with this crazy group of friends. They steal from other black people, but they aren't bold enough, and they hold too much fear to steal from white people, even if it could turn them a bigger profit, which says a lot about the race relations at the time, where he doesn't have a lot of respect and pride for his own culture. He holds too much fear for white people to associate or assimilate into their things and steal from them. Like, he thinks that the consequence is too great. Yet, he isn't really aware of the moral consequences that go on by stealing from his own people. So that's very interesting and shows a bit of Bigger's intellect. He is, in my opinion, I would say Bigger is someone who is short-sighted. Meaning, to me, he thinks about what it'll take him to get to tomorrow, but he is not ever thinking about what it'll take him to alleviate the situation for him and his family. He's never really thinking about going back to school or how he can make a better living or how he can kind of achieve his dreams, which isn't unrealistic because he hasn't seen it before. And this is a black man in Chicago and right after segregation. So he is struggling with a lot of new ideas that have not been fully formulated by him or society at this time. And it leads him to kind of act and operate in a state of fear at all times. He has an attitude of reserve for his own family and his own community. He just feels like they don't want enough. Like, he knows that they need a job. They live in a really bad environment, but he can't seem to understand that it takes one step to go to step 2 to step 3 to step 4. He kind of wants to go quickly, right? He wants to go from 1-bedroom apartment to mansion or something like that, and it's just not that easy. And this is kind of what we see in young people now, right? That you don't want to follow the process. You don't think about the smaller rewards leading up to your success, and you're paralyzed because the task seems so daunting that you end up doing nothing and resenting everyone around you. And that's really where Bigger is. He's not doing anything about his situation because he thinks that his situation is inconquerable. But the fact that he isn't taking action makes him so much more angry and hateful. And that even kind of explains why he attacks Gus. He is so resentful for what he believes he cannot have in this world, and that is always placed away from him because of his black skin. Now, some people say that the name Bigger is a combination of the words big and nigger, which is not a flattering name for the main character of the story. What evidence is there that Wright may not like or approve of Bigger's behavior in book 1? So, Bigger is a walking, talking, cliched stereotype that, if you've ever read Why the Negro is Lynched by Frederick Douglass, he fits that beast-like stereotype that black men are consistently always seeking the validation of white women in order to attain freedom, and how black people can't be trusted around these white daughters, and how it's always going to be a level of danger for them in that community. And Bigger is that stereotype. He is a stereotype all the way through, and Wright was actually highly criticized for his use of stereotypes and the way he kind of utilized them to make his points, because it is really detrimental to the society when you work in that way. That's all I got for you guys. I'll catch up with you next time when I read into book 2, which is called Flight. I think it's called Flight. In the meantime, check out my description box below. It is chock full of very awesome details. And make sure you comment, like, subscribe if this video was helpful to you in any way. I'll be back next time with more videos about literary theory. Talk to you soon.